Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Now we're going to continue on our Python Basics series with lists and hopefully dictionaries. So lists are basically a sequence of values. Now the values inside of lists are elements or items. And there are ways to create them, and again the simplest way is basically to enclose them in brackets. Anything can be inside of lists, okay? That is everything from strings to other lists, okay? So lists are also mutable, so they can, basically that means that you can change what's inside of them. Now this expression is also basically inside of brackets is also used as an index, and indices in start at 0. So let's maybe go on and give this a bit of a start here. So we can start with something like 1, 2, 3. And again, if you notice here, this is an actual list. We can also put in, for example, something like hello, 1, 2, 3. And again, notice this also will run perfectly fine. We can also create something. Let's maybe even take that first example, the second example there, hello, and then let's maybe do 1, 2, 3. Notice this is also a list. Now we can also grab and maybe save this into a variable. So my list is going to be something like A, B, C, and then we can also have different different types of operations we can have on them, and I'll talk about them here in a minute. But we can also let's talk about using the indices. So for example, we have my list, and so let's say that we want to grab the first item, A, so we would use 0. Okay, so again we start this at A would be 0, B would be 1, C would be 2. So we can grab this last item here, C, by going my list, and so we have 0, 1, 2, we want 2, grab that. Now again, if you want to, maybe you don't know how long this list is, you can grab the length, so length of my list, and that'll give you 3. So again, notice you would have to subtract 1 from this in order to get the actual index location of C. But we can also do one more thing, okay, with that, and we can do something like my list, and we can do -1. So -1 or -1 in this instance actually will grab the back end, okay? It'll grab this last item in the list every time. So we can also do operations on lists, okay? So we have two different operations that we can use. We can use the plus sign, which concats lists, okay? And we can use the multiplication sign, which repeats things inside of a list. So for example, we can have A, B, C, oops, and then we can use the plus sign to concat D, E, F. And so when we run this, notice now it gives us a single list, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now we can use, so let's say that you want to fill this in with zeros, we can do 6. And notice it just repeats. Okay, so if, for example, we wanted to repeat this, and so let's say 1, 2, 3, multiplied by, let's just do it by 2. Okay, notice though it repeats the entire sequence. Okay, so here you can think of this as maybe a waltz, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so the next thing we would want to talk about is slices. So if, remember we had that my list, and so let me just run that so that we can see what it is. It was A, B, C, and let's say that we only wanted to grab maybe we only wanted to grab 1 to the end, okay? So 1, remember, this is A is 0, B is 1. So if we say we want to start at 1, okay, and then go this, we use this colon, okay, would mean 2 whatever number we want to. So in this instance, it would be just the end if we leave it blank. Now let's maybe take and make this list a little bit bigger. My list plus, and then we want E, F, G, and you know what, we forgot about D. So let's add in D as well. Okay, and so if we did 1 to the end, again, notice now it gets a little bit longer. It goes all the way to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you wanted to take another slice, again, this is called slice or slicing. We can grab my list, and we want something from 1 or 2 to 5. Okay, so let's count this out before we have this, okay? So let's go up here and do my list, and let me just run it so we can see this. So if we want from 2 up into 5, but not including 5, okay? Remember, not including 5. So it goes 0, 1, 2, so we should see C, 3, 4, 5, but it will not include 5, so it'll be to E. So we should see C, D, E popping out with this. There we go. And notice now that we see it starts at 2, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 5's too far because it goes up to but does not include that last one, and it goes back to E. We can do one more example real quick. And let's say that we want to grab D, just D and E. So we do my list, and so we want to grab item 3. Okay, so again, 0, 1, 2, 3. We want to include it, and we want to go up one more, but we want to also make sure we include it. Notice, just like we have here, we want to include it, so we have 5. Okay. Now let's move on to methods. So just as we were using the plus sign to concat, we can use append to add elements onto the end. And these are great later on whenever we learn about loops. We'll be able to kind of maybe iteratively create and build up lists and data sets. But first, let's just maybe create a new list. So let's call this num list for numbers, and we do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's say that we want to append, so we add on a single item to the list. We can do something like num list dot append, and then I'm actually going to just use a string here and say A. Okay. All right, and notice it just ran. Okay, nothing popped out. It didn't do anything. It enacted upon the list itself. So now we actually have to go through and call that list and actually run it to see, look, it did append A. Okay, before we were having, whenever we were doing this, where was it, up here, okay? When we were adding things out, it just kind of appeared down here and it didn't enact anything. It didn't change any of the behavior of either of these two lists that we had here. But here we're actually appending something to another list. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 4A, sorry. Now we can also do that again, so we can do num list dot append, and let's do Z. Okay, we run that again, and we want to look at num list again. Again, notice now we have Z. Okay, and you could append all kinds of things to it. Now, one other that we have here is extend. So let me call this left is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to also create right is going to be A, B, C, D's, just so that we can kind of see what's going on here. So if we left dot extend, whoop, you know what, let me just run those so that we can actually see that. And let me come up here just a little bit here. And so we can do left dot extend, and we want to extend it with right. And we run that. Okay, notice nothing really happened, but if we look at left, okay, at what happens here, notice it actually brought those two together. Okay, it extended left. Okay, now this is very similar to concatenating, but it actually took left and actually changed its makeup itself by adding in all of the elements from right. And let's maybe do a couple more here. So we also have, and something we didn't talk about originally was pop. So we have left, and if we do dot pop, okay, and let that run, it will pop out D. Okay, so notice it takes and it pops it from the end. We can tell it to pop out D. And now if we look at left again though, look at this, it actually removed it. It actually popped it out of the list and actually put it in. So this is always great if we want to, I'm going to call this alpha C because we're going to put left dot append, and we want to, or not append, sorry, pop. And we want to pop out C into it. So now if we look at alpha C, whoops, it's going to come out as C. And then if we also grab and we do something like left, and we take a look at it again, notice now it is shortened as well. We popped out C from before. And I think that's pretty much going to cover it for what we want to cover in lists today. And let's move on to dictionaries. Oh, you know what? We actually, there is something else that I want to cover inside of dictionaries, or in lists, sorry. And this is actually using nested lists. So I'm just going to call this a nest, and we have 1, 2, 3, and we've seen them before, but let's say 4, 5, and we're going to add in another list, and we'll say find me, okay, 3 or 2, 4, 6, okay. Now, how do we grab a hold? Now, I know this is going to be a little bit of a brain teaser, okay? How would we grab find me? We want this particular item here. So we grab our nest, and we grab, like, let's say that if we just grabbed, so here, 0, 1, 2, and we want 3. Okay, we're going to grab that whole section here. So if I just grab the third item in the list, notice now we have all of this. So then if we copy this, we want to dig in just a little bit more. All right, so then we would add another set here. Okay, another bracket. And so again, 0, 1, 2. So we want 2. Now if we run that again, let's see how close we are. All right, that did grab what we want. So then remember, we wanted to grab find me. So we want to add in one more, and that's going to be 0. So we grab 0. Let's run that, and notice now we grab the text find me. So notice that we can actually really nest in, and we can dig down really deep inside of these items and in these lists. We can really dig into them, particularly if they're nested, and they're a great way to control and hold data. Let's look at one more thing here that I forgot to mention. So let's look at my list again, and notice that it is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and let's say that I want to change D, okay? Because remember, I told you at the beginning that lists are mutable. They are changeable. So let's grab D here. And so that would be my list. And again, let's count this out together. 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is 3. Okay, and just again, just to prove the point, okay, notice it is D. So I want to change D to new variable, okay? So if I run this, nothing pops out, but if we take a look at my list, notice here, now D has been substituted with a new variable. And so again, you can actually go through and you can change items inside of a list using just this this assignment operator here, just like you would when you're creating a variable. And let's see here. I think that will be it for our section on lists. So let's go on and move on over to dictionaries. So what exactly are dictionaries? Dictionaries are like a list, okay, but they're very, very generalized, okay? In a list, the indices must be integers, but in a dictionary, they can be of basically any type. Dictionaries contain a collection of indices, which we call keys, and they correspond to a collection of data, which we call values. Now, each key is going to be associated with a single value, and we have everything, and this is basically called a key-value pair. Now, dictionaries also represent a mapping. Some people will call them hash maps, depending on what language you're looking at for programming. And we also do have a function called dict, which helps us create a new dictionary. So we can actually, let's create two different dictionaries. We'll call one D, and we'll use the standardized syntax of key, and I'll just call this value. Now, we can also use the dict function, dictionary function, and let's call this D2 is going to be dictionary, and then it also requires a key and a value. So we can run this. Okay, so let's just look at D first. Okay, and notice this actually spits out basically in the same format that it was before with a key value pair. Now, if we use the dict function, notice I left this out as being a string just to kind of show you what's going on here. And if I use D2 and I run this, Internet seems to be slow. Okay, notice that it also shows here that it is a key value pair. It is actually identical, okay, even though I created it using this a little bit different method. Again, this dict function is a little bit new, and I will probably try and stick to using the dict function because it is newer, but it is very useful for us. So how we actually grab items from the dictionary is very similar. So for example, we want D and we want to grab the key, okay? And it will give us value. Now we can also do all other types of things with dictionaries for storing data, but we're gonna kind of just keep it to nice, easy concepts like this, just to show you that we can add things in. Okay, so let's do, let's call this my data, and let's do dict, and we're going to say name equals Markham, dog equals false. I do not have a dog. Cat is equal to true. Age is equal to 30. And let's say family, and then we'll do something like this. Mother, father, wife, son. Okay, so then we're able to grab and hold on to that data. Let me pull that up just a little bit more so we can see it. And we'll also be able to take a look at this data as well. So using something like my data, and if, for example, we want to grab onto the name, we can. Like this, my data. Now, if we want to grab my data, but I want to grab family, but I also want to grab maybe wife. Okay, so this would be, again, family. So we grab that family key, and then we go, and then technically it turns this whole thing. Let me just show you that real quick. That turns this into a list, so then we can grab this just like it would be a list. And so we can go something like 0, 1, 2. We want to grab a wife, so we grab 2, run this, and we get wife. Now we can also have dictionaries inside of dictionaries. So let's maybe update this data just a little bit, okay? So let's do something like family, and this is actually going to be another dictionary, and I'll use actually the curly brackets in this instance. And so say father is, let's not use real names, okay? Let's call it dad. Mother is going to be mom, and then wife is going to be wifey. Okay, and then we can run this, and just the same as we've done before, this now turns this family key. Basically, it's going to be pointing towards another dictionary. So if we do my data and we want to grab family and we run this, notice now we actually have all of these items, and say we want to grab father. In this instance here, we can grab father, and we run this, and now notice now it brings up the string dad. So this will allow us to grab out all of that data, and you can see here how useful this will be in order to grab and contain data in the future. And we'll use this a lot. And again, some of these are very similar to some other methods that you use in other programming languages. And next in the series, okay, we'll start talking about Booleans and possibly tuples in the next video. Again, if you guys like this, please subscribe and give it a like. That's very helpful to us in order to be able to keep making content for you guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.